A very warm welcome to SWAM course on Design Thinking and Innovation. In week 1 and 2, we did the introduction and then you selected the topic for your project. In week 3 and 4, we did secondary research, means that you actually looked at already existing information and you collated that information. In week 5 and 6, we'll do primary research, where you'll actually look at original information. So it's week 5, section A5. As usual, we'll start with a quote. This quote is from our favorite author, Ruskin Bond. He says, "I get inspiration from a lot of things around me. Nature, hills, people, and even insects." The last part is very, very important because Ruskin Bond is actually bringing focus on to life on Earth, respect for life on Earth, and that's a very, very important factor while designing. Let's have a look at the design thinking and innovation process from week 1 to week 4. In week 1, we did the overall course structure. We did the introduction to design thinking and innovation. In week 2, we asked a lot of questions about the design thinking and innovation process. For example, what, who, and why. We also looked at the different models of design thinking and innovation. And then in week 3, we started to have a look at what is secondary research. This was part 1 of it. We also looked at how to do documentation. And in week 4, we followed with secondary research, part 2, and we did user and environment, and in that we also looked at how to map users. So let's have a look at the course. So we shall do primary research. That means you'll actually locate who your users are and then interact with them in their own surroundings. We'll also introduce you to a very important and essential tool of doing contextual inquiry, followed by applying it in your project, and then a case study which explains and uses contextual inquiry. Let's have a look at the content. Which phase of the design thinking and innovation process is primary research? What exactly is primary research? What are the types of primary research? How do we document primary research? How do we conduct primary research? And further studies and references. So let's start with the primary research and the process. So we are still at the first phase of the design thinking and innovation process. It has to do with research. So we finished secondary research, we are moving on to primary research. So the difference is that in secondary research, you actually collated information which was already existing. In primary research, you'll go and collect original information. So it means that you'll talk to the users, you'll go to the location. So that's primary research, which is followed by analysis, ideation, build, test, and implement. So we are really at the first phase of the design process. And as we know from this diagram, in research, we need to look all over the place to find the correct information that is useful for you to solve the problem. What is primary research? So primary research is based on you getting this first-hand information or data. So that means that you'll actually go to the user and collect this information. It's almost like going on a treasure hunt, searching for information, discovering hidden issues and needs. So it can be as exciting as that. If you take it as a challenge, you'll actually enjoy doing primary research. So in social sciences, this is called as field research because you actually go to the field and then you collect information which is original in nature. And it's done in real life environment. Okay, so it means it very simply visit the place where the user is doing the activity, observe the user. You can do conversations with the user to understand what are the issues. In the process, you also document these observations and findings, and that you take it for further analysis. So it's very simple. Primary research actually means trying to go to the location, getting the first-hand information. Why is primary research important? Primary research is based on first-hand information. And you already done secondary research, probably you notice there are some things which you still can't understand. You need to go to the place where the activity happens, talk to the users and fill in these gaps. So that's one part of it. Second is that is when you actually go to the place and the location, you experience the problem space. First hand you observe the user doing that activity, and this becomes an invaluable asset to understanding of the problem. So it's also about finding these minor details and specific informations which can actually make a big difference to the understanding of the issues connected with the topic that you've chosen. So let's look at the different types of primary research. So these are useful to the designer and the methods used by the designers. Okay, the first is observation and documentation. Second is you go talk to the users, make a conversation, ask questions, ask them to narrate instances or stories. You conduct contextual inquiry, more on that later. You can administer questionnaires and then do surveys. Even talking to the experts can reveal a lot of information because experts know a lot about that particular subject. You can also do focus group discussions, means that you gather people who kind of know something about the topic that you're researching on, have a conversation within them, so that discussion is moderated and and then it can reveal further information with respect to your topic. So observation, conversations, contextual inquiry, questionnaires, talking to experts and focus group discussions are 6 different ways of actually getting first-hand primary information. Let's look at a little bit detail about them. Observation followed by documentation. It means that you go to the place where the user is in his natural location. Maybe he's actually using the product or the service that you want to redesign. You note down these observations through documentation. It could be text, images or video. You could use a sketchbook, notebook, your computer or a mobile camera. Okay, so basically observation followed by documentation. You can also have conversations with the user. You make a set of questions that you need to ask, and when you converse with the user, you can ask them to, say stories or instances connected with the problem or issues connected with the problem. And this helps you get the user's thoughts, his opinions, his problems, his feedback and the challenges he faces. So again, I said requesting them to narrate their experiences could provide again very useful information. The third method is contextual inquiry. It's basically a combination of the above two. You understand the needs of the user through observation and conversations at the user's location or environment while the person is actually performing the activity. So the fourth method is administering a questionnaire. So you set a set of questions, and this can be done, online through the internet or offline. You can even make phone calls and do these conversations and ask questions. So you need to, find out where you need information with respect to your subjects. Accordingly, make these questions. Questions should not be confusing, so that the users can answer it very clearly. It can be open-ended. It means that you can ask for their opinions, or you can, it could be close-ended. Means that it has a set of answers which he has to, tick from the choices you've given him. Okay? So more on that again later. Talking to experts. See, experts are people who might have in-depth knowledge about the subject that you're trying to find out. Okay, so going and talking to the experts can reveal a lot of things which you might take a lot of time to actually find out. So you need to locate where these experts are, make appointments, okay, and then go talk to them, converse with them, so that you can get further information about the topic. Focus group, as I mentioned, is discussion among users related to the problem area or topic, okay, and they have an overall understanding about the issues connected with the topic. Usually there's a moderator to, lead the conversations, and, from one point to another point, you take it forward and you document the whole process, okay, and then you revisit this documentation and see if it has useful information with respect to your topic. So focus group, you're getting opinions of a lot of people who are somehow or the other connected with the topic that you're trying to solve. So we looked at 6 methods. Very, very important part of it is documentation. So let's have a look at this. Okay, so you can use many methods of documentation. Of course, taking notes, your notebook becomes very, very important. You can sketch. Even a rough sketch will be very, very useful because it captures an instance. You can take photographs, you can do audio recordings or video recordings. So it could be of any of these activities, okay. It could be for that things that you observe, documenting conversations, interviews and answers to questions, study and analysis, and getting feedback. Yeah, so all these are part of documentation. So it could involve capturing people, life and their activities, the place and the environment, artifacts or the objects which are part of the problem space. It could be motifs, patterns and paintings in their part of the culture. It could be even activities or performances, and if there are events and festivals connected with your problem space, yeah, so it could involve any of these. Again, another extremely important aspect is you cannot assume that you can just go and document something that belongs to somebody else, right? You need to seek their permission before you start documentation. Yeah, this is very ethical. So seeking permission should be a priority. Always ask before you take a photograph, before you start writing, whether you have the permission to do this. Photographs can be very intrusive, and if you take it without their knowledge, people will get upset. Okay, so asking permission before you start photographing their activities or their environments or inside their homes or the objects that they use. So it's very, very important to get the permission. Sometimes if the user group needs protection of their identities, be respectful of their privacy, especially if it involves children, elderly, persons with disability. You need to protect their identity. Okay, so be very respectful of this. Means that basically what we are saying is that be sensitive to their concerns, be respectful of their culture and traditions. It's also important that you get a clearance for the study, especially if it involves any of these, people, children, elderly, or the persons with disability, to get your institute's ethics committee clearance. So seeking permission is a very important part of doing primary research. Be conscious of this. How do we do primary research? So let's look at the steps. First, you need to identify the sources for primary research connected to your topic. Note down as points the list of key issues that you need to discuss or you need to find information on. You need to visit the place where the users are and observe them in action, converse with them, collect relevant information. You need to focus on listening. Right? Whatever they say is very, very important to you. Document the information through images, text, audio, video after seeking permission. You can use also any of these methods, contextual inquiry, focus groups, questionnaires or surveys. We can get both. Either it could be qualitative information or quantitative information. So let's look at further study and references. Again, back to dsource.in/DT&I. Contextual Design, Defining Customer-Centered Systems is a very useful book. It's by Karen Holzbart, as well as The Human Interface, The New Directions for Designing Interactive Systems by Jeff Raskin. I'll end this section with a quote from Frank Chimero. It's a very nice quote. People ignore design that ignores people. So that means the user is extremely important. Focus on user, focus on life. So that's why we say user-centered design or life-centered design. So thank you very much for listening. This was section A5, week 5. Let's summarize. We looked at what is primary research. We also realized it's very important to interact with the users. And through this, you get original information. We'll move on to the next section on tools. We'll actually look at contextual inquiry methods. And then do the project and apply this method in your project. And also look at a case study which involves making use of contextual inquiry.